नमस्कार। द कश्मीर फाइल्स रिलीज होने के बाद दो वर्ग आमने सामने हैं। एक वर्ग तो वो है जो कश्मीरी पंडितों पे हुए अत्याचारों से संवेदना रखता है, उनके प्रति अपनी संवेदनाएं व्यक्त कर रहा है। दूसरा वर्ग वो है जो अभी भी डिनायल में है। इसको छोटी मोटी घटना बताने की कोशिश की जा रही है, इसको टेररिज्म की घटना भी बताने की कोशिश की जा रही है। ऐसे में 2 वर्ष पुराना सुनंदा वशिष्ठ का ये वक्तव्य आपको सुनना चाहिए। सुनंदा वशिष्ठ टॉम लैंटस ह्यूमन राइट कमीशन के इस सभा में बतौर गवाह बात कर रही थी। आप ये वीडियो सुनिए और स्वयं इसका निर्धारण करिए।
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank the Tom Lantos Human Rights Commission for inviting me to testify here as a witness. Honorable members of the Tom Lantos Commission, I speak before you the last words of Daniel Pearl in my own words. My father is a Kashmiri Hindu, my mother is a Kashmiri Hindu, I am a Kashmiri Hindu, and our home and lives in Kashmir were destroyed by radical Islamic terrorism. As I begin to speak, I am choked. As I begin to speak, I'm choked by the thoughts of those voices I represent here, because their voices were extinguished in the most brutal fashion. I am a member of the minority Hindu community from Kashmir, victim of the worst ethnic cleansing witnessed in independent India. I speak here today because I am a survivor. An innocent young woman, a lab assistant in a school, wasn't as lucky as I was. She was abducted, blindfolded, gang raped, and cut into 2 halves on a mechanical saw while still alive. Her name was Girija Tikku. Her only crime, her faith. I am her voice today. I am also the voice of young Kashmiri Hindu engineer who was hunted by terrorists, again for his faith. When terrorists came to kill him, he hid inside a rice container in his attic, and he would have been alive today had his location not been disclosed to the terrorists by his own neighbors. His neighbors he trusted, neighbors that we trusted. The terrorists shot him through the container and forced his wife to eat the blood-soaked rice. His name was B.K. Ganju. His crime, his faith. I speak for him today. I could go on and on. We have seen ISIS level of horror and brutality in Kashmir 30 years before the West was even introduced to the brutalities of radical Islamic terror. I'm glad these hearings are happening today, because when my family and I lost our homes, our livelihood, and our way of life, the world remained silent. Where were the advocates of human rights when my rights were taken away? Where were they on the night of 19th January 1990, when there were voices blaring from all mosques in Kashmir that they wanted Kashmir with Hindu women but without Hindu men? Where were the saviors of humanity when my feeble old grandfather stood with 2 kitchen knives and an old rusted axe, ready to kill my mother and I in order to save us from the much worse fate that awaited us if we landed in the hands of terrorists on the same fateful night? My people were given 3 choices: flee, convert, or die. Around 400,000 Kashmiri Hindus fled right after that night of horror. They survived. Those who didn't were killed. Today, 30 years later, I'm still not welcome in my home in Kashmir. I am not allowed to follow my faith without fear. My house in Kashmir is illegally occupied, as those of countless others in my community. Those that are not occupied have mostly been burned down or are ransacked. Thousands of our temples have been vandalized, desecrated, and lay in ruins. Every effort has been made to eradicate Hinduism from Kashmir. Today, Kashmir is home to only one religion. This is by design and is the ultimate violation of human rights. Diversity and acceptance of different views are not the norm in today's Kashmir. It's not just Hindus that have been ethnically cleansed. Sikhs have been massacred. A fatwa was announced against Christian schools in Kashmir, accusing them of luring Muslims to Christianity. What human rights are we talking about when all minorities have either been driven out or silenced? An Islamist state of Kashmir where other religions are not welcome and tolerance of any other viewpoint is absent is no citadel of human rights. This is the society that is being created by Kashmir by those who are talking about human rights. Terrorism, ladies and gentlemen, is the ultimate opponent of human rights. Human rights cannot and should not take precedence over human life.